So I think we should call this the fucking Wholesome Music Podcast.
Do you like that?
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I do. It feels like us.
It feels like us.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I'm so good at this.
Welcome to the Wholesome Music Podcast, episode number 1.
Yes. If you are a time traveler who has already seen this episode and is now somehow watching the intro, you know that we came up with the name for this episode, this podcast, during the episode. My name is Augustus Watkins. I am a musician based in Los Angeles. I do music PR. I have a record label, and I am really interested in community building. My pronouns are he, they. I'll take she too. I'm not too concerned about my pronouns. Let's leave it at that.
I love that. My name's Cam LJ. We're here at Secret Spot DTLA. We are Los Angeles' co-working space for creatives. Mm-hmm. This is an inclusive space for all creatives. My pronouns are he, they, or you could call me anything that you want. I'll take it.
So this is our first episode. We got into a conversation about the difference between the creator economy and the record industry.
Yes.
We talked about why social media broke capitalism.
Yes, we did.
We're going to talk about AI. Not really AI, but we were going to talk about social media slop. We're going to talk about the touring industry in decline. We're going to talk about Coachella. We're going to talk about people paying $300 or more for a concert ticket.
That's true. That's crazy.
And
we're going to talk about if you need a manager. When is the right time?
Yeah.
When do you need a manager? When is it right to jump over the hump and try it?
Yeah. And one piece of preview for that I can say is that neither of us have a manager.
No, we're both self-managed motherfuckers. So
let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's talk about social media. And I want to talk, this is a big conversation. I think we're going to talk about social media a lot.
Yes.
But let's talk about the difference between the social media and what it means to be on social media, what it means to be famous or successful on social media versus what it means to be successful in the music industry.
Yes.
Or in real life.
Yeah, and there's kind of an overlap there, right?
Yeah.
Like I think, or at least a lot of people feel like there's an overlap, hey, I've got this many followers, so I should be big once I release my song. Mm-hmm. Well, how many people can you really get in person to your show?
Yeah, because I think this gets to one of what I think is one of the lies about social media, which is, are they really your fan or are they a fan of TikTok?
Yeah, are they a fan of the platform that you're a patron of?
Because I think for the most part, there's some gray area here because I do think, obviously, we all, to the extent that any of us are on social media, we all have our favorite creators that we access through our favorite platforms.
We build those parasocial relationships with.
But I do think we have to recognize that as we're trying to build an audience, that relationship is a kind of a subsidiary of the relationship that your audience has with the app itself.
Yeah, your relationship to your audience is dependent on them coming back to this platform and using it and wanting to spend time there. And the way we sell it's symbiotic, right? It's a symbiotic relationship.
But it's not quite because because you really are the mercy and the whims of the platform.
Yeah.
If they want to deplatform you, they can. That's an extreme case, but it happens.
Yeah.
Or if there is a major shift in the kinds of topics then this happens more often, we've tweaked the algorithm. And so the content that you make that was working for you, that was hitting really hard and we tweaked the algorithm so this topic isn't something we're promoting anymore and you get buried.
Yeah.
And so I think
and you can't reach your audience anymore.
Yeah, and they're just gone. And like your audience, they might not even recognize it because they're just on getting some other cool thing they're being fed.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of things that we always want to have a takeaway from. One, this is something we're going to probably talk about a lot. I am old school. I really believe in the email list.
Your email list is your gold standard. Yeah. Email list and website. I think if you can sell directly to your audience, you're not going to have any intermediary. Like your website and your email list, those are going to be the gold standards. At least
that's what I think too. I think so. Tell me are you on a lot of mailing lists?
Oh man, I try to narrow it down every time.
Yeah.
But before I am. Yeah. I very much am. But before we even dive all the way down, let's identify all the different platforms where you could be. You could be on social media. What are the other channels that you could be on to receive this information? You could do it in person. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You could do it via email.
Yep.
And you could do it like word of mouth, maybe.
Word of mouth. There's texts, messaging,
SMS.
Yeah, SMS. Even and SMS promotion platforms.
Yeah.
There's like, I think we even can break down in person, because there's like word of mouth in person, and then there's going to the show.
Being at an in-person event. Yeah, those are two different worlds.
We said email, the like Signal and WhatsApp and those kind of like those groups.
Yeah. Instant messaging groups.
Yeah, and then I know like Instagram has their own
Facebook groups.
Yeah, broadcast Facebook groups is another great web forums. If you're old enough to remember what a web forum is.
Craigslist.
Yeah. I mean, they're zines.
Yeah, press, physical press, getting into the newspaper, getting into a magazine, getting onto a blog. All of those are different channels that we as musicians, we can exploit those channels. And some are going to be more. You're going to have more ownership over, right? So if we're looking at it from an ownership perspective, your email list you own 100% of.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a moment when your email is like, Gmail's like, hey, actually you can no longer email to these people.
Well, they might.
Well, yeah.
They might.
But then you move to another email service.
So you should back up with, this is like 101 musician, like data and media 101, you should back up always. So but in theory you should always have control over those relationships.
Yeah, that's where something like Constant Contact is a good middleman. MailChimp is good. Any one of these like email management services will kind of help control that list, and you can export your data easier. So if you want all of your contacts, you can get like a CSV of all of your emails.
And I think this is one of the buffers that we have against being at the whims of social media. And I think it's obviously worth saying, this is 2025. We're also at the whims of like the techno-fascist state that's developing.
Say it again.
Right? So
say it again.
It's like, so I think those of us who are like
aware,
like
conscious.
I mean, honestly, like if you're woke, if you're queer, if you're a person of color,
if you're here,
like your work, you don't need me telling you this, but there are people who are extra vulnerable.
Yes.
And so if you consider yourself to be the kind of person who may be a little bit extra vulnerable, just remember, and again, maybe you don't need me telling you this, but there are resources out there to help you to maintain your data.
Yes.
And
keep it private and safe.
Yeah, and keep it protected and keep it yours.
Yeah. That's why we're sponsored by Aura. I'm just kidding.
I actually don't know who the fuck that is. That's great.
Oh my God, Aura. Well, let me tell you.
Don't tell me, because we're not sponsored by anybody. We're going to bleep that out. I want to go, I think another real key difference between the creator economy and a real economy.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that I'm like, hey Cameron, you're an engineer. I need to hire you for a thing.
Yeah, great.
Like you have a rate, I can hire you.
Of course.
I can get a product.
Hit me on the Calendly.
So the difference between that and like what social media does, I think is really important, because social media is more like, I'll say I'm a platform. I'm a billionaire platform owner, and I'm saying, hey Cameron, you can come work for me for free. You can create content for me that I can then use to keep people on my platform, that I can sell advertisements that pay me.
But I thought you said it was for free. Because the way you're saying it sounds like you're profiting from the ads on me.
Oh, does it?
It sounds like you're profiting in a whole bunch of different ways off of this thing that I was doing.
Does it seem like I, the platform owner, am profiting off of your labor?
I mean, I wasn't going to say it so directly, but I suppose now that you say it, that's the truth.
What I'm doing as a platform owner is giving you an opportunity to have an audience that you wouldn't otherwise be able to have. And this is why, end scene, and this is why it's bullshit.
It is.
Because
it absolutely is.
It's not even capitalism.
No.
I'm not like weird, like we're going to do this, right? And we're going to put this up, and like we're putting this up on spec.
Yes.
On the idea that maybe somebody somewhere will catch on to it with the platform, and then we can like monetize this somewhere else down the line.
Somewhere else. Another place will have.
And like obviously you don't do this because you love to do it, but I think that's like you do it because you love to do it, or because you're passionate about doing it, which we are passionate about, DIY music. But I think this is important because there's so much money in the world.
There really
is. And it
is.
ain't coming to us.
No, and it's not coming to creators. Like, creators are like, I think if we can boil this down, whenever you're on a platform that you don't own, whether that's TikTok, whether that's Instagram, whether that's even YouTube, no matter where you are, if you don't own the resource, if it's not yours, if you're not posting directly to your thing, there's someone profiting on what you're doing. And there are a bunch of different ways. Like some people have like a TikTok creator fund. Like maybe there's one lump sum of money that everybody's getting paid out of. Maybe it's more like ads revenue based. Like YouTube is more ads revenue based. So like exactly.
Yeah.
And
so I think it's just really important for young creators who are looking at like I want to get famous. I want to get not even to get famous.
Yeah, I want to get new eyes. I want to get more eyes.
Yeah. I want more eyes on my work. Like just remember that like there is a deal with the devil that you're doing. That you might put in a lot of work towards on a platform, and you are going to be the last person who's going to see any benefit from that.
Well, I think when you said the last person on the platform, I think of Vine. You know, there were so many people who built amazing platforms.
Yeah.
They had people who were watching them every single day, and then it was gone, turned off like a light switch. And I think people who are from our generation remember MySpace. There were a bunch of musicians who built up an audience on MySpace, and it is possible to transfer. I mean, that's a very old example, but like it's difficult, but you can transfer your audience from one place to the other. It's one of the most difficult things that you can ask for your audience to do is like, hey, I know you're all here. We have 100,000 people in the chat on YouTube, but
else.
come over to Twitch. That's where the real fun is at. Well, maybe 10%.
Right.
But 10% of something is
well, and this gets to something that I feel really strongly about, which is like IRL events.
Yes. Oh my God.
And because there are people who will sit and tell you that it's all content. So I did an event, and somebody afterwards, and I don't mean this meanly, but they were like, "Hey, when are you going to drop the content from the event?" And I was like,
"What content,
girl? The show was the content.
That was
like, you had to like it was exclusive content that you had to unlock by showing up with your body." Right? That's how I do like to think about that, because there's a couple of things. One, go dancing. Yeah. If you're able to go dance, people. If you're able-bodied and you can dance, go dancing. Yeah. And then tell me that is no different from sitting at home scrolling on your phone. People are like, "Oh, it's all content." It's not fucking content.
Unless you're swing dancing, and then I'm just having such a good time watching you. No, it's not the same. There's something about like the physical connection. Right? Yeah.
And I think personally, this is just me, I would rather do something real with people in my
real
life.
Time. In real life, in person.
Than do huge numbers on a platform that is owned by a billionaire. That's really all it's there to actually do is to like sell weapons to Israel. You know what I mean? I think it's worth being in real life with people.
I think it's worth being in real life, but I think it's both. Yeah. You know, like ideally, if you're trying to build your audience to as big as it can be, why not do both? I think you're not going to sell out an arena show and not have any presence.
Without an internet presence.
Yeah, you need some. It doesn't have to be your main thing. Like it's kind of crazy if you're staking your entire like musical revenue on TikTok. Yeah. But it's also a little bit crazy if you're staking your entire musical catalog and you refuse to put it out anywhere across all streaming platforms. Yeah. Even artists like Taylor Swift have walked that back. There are so many people who've tried to pull their music off of streaming platforms.
It's not realistic anymore.
Yeah, it's not real. That being said, I mean, not realistic in what perspective too, because this brings us back to the website and going direct to fans. Yeah. Like if I put the song up for stream and you make like 0.006 cents on that stream, but maybe I pull all my music down and I still have 100 people who want to buy my song for $10 or buy my record, my actual physical record for $10 and I'll ship it to your house.
Hey, let's shout out Bandcamp.
Bandcamp!
Which we probably should have mentioned in places that you can be. If you don't know, get on Bandcamp. Do you want to talk about Bandcamp?
You talk about Bandcamp.
Okay, I will. So Bandcamp has been around since the early 2000s. Yeah. They're like as old as MySpace, but they're thriving, they're vital, they're still doing it. It is a platform where you can put your music, set your price, including a name your own price, so you can actually give your music away for free. and they take a really small cut of what it is that you charge. It's like there's the standard 3% credit card processing fee, and then I think they take 10 to 15% depending on your sales volume, and the rest is yours.
So tell me, like, if I don't know anything, well, why wouldn't I just go to DistroKid? Why would I go to this place? What is the rage with this stuff? Why Bandcamp?
Because I can put a song on DistroKid, get it up on streaming, have it streamed 1,000 times, and make...
Anybody could listen to my song on DistroKid.
That's true, and you might make $1 off of that.
Yeah.
Or you could put that song up, and you can... And I'll back up. Anyone could listen to your song. You don't know who they are. You don't know their email address to connect with them later.
So you're telling me with Bandcamp, I can get like their email address, I can get my fan's data, and I can sell directly to the fan without having an intermediary?
Get paid. So you could set a song. You could set a song for the price that you want to set. They just changed the recommended price from $1 to $1.50.
Okay.
So let's say you just set a song up for $1.50. Now let's say 100 people buy your song at $1.50. Well, I'm no good at math, but I think that's at least $50.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a whole lot more than I would have gotten paid on streaming.
Yeah. So Bandcamp I think is really important. I'm shocked that more people don't know about it. To this day, I'm like, hey, go to Bandcamp. So like,
and Bandcamp will also put together incredible resources for your release too. They'll help you kind of, if you don't have artwork, there are so many resources that you can get through Bandcamp. Like Bandcamp kind of like, it's really become like a cohesive platform for artists because I think there are a couple of other like things you like other sales channels that there are through Bandcamp. You can do, I think you can list merch on Bandcamp.
You can sell merch, including your physical products. So if you press CDs or if you're lucky to press vinyl, you can. So like I have a record label. We make a lot of sales off of Bandcamp.
Yes,
and then they take their little cut, and then we ship CDs and vinyl tapes. Most typically to people all over the world.
Yes.
Bandcamp has a streaming app that you can like stream all the music you purchased. You can if you purchase something digitally, you can stream it from your phone, or if you're a real fucking nerd, you can download it and have it archived on your own personal computer. So this also is not an advertisement for Bandcamp, although they are welcome to sponsor us. But if you're an artist trying to build a real career, Bandcamp is an incredible place online to be actually selling music directly to your customers and to build a real relationship. One
thing that I found was really interesting with Bandcamp is I know a lot of people are kind of SoundCloud refugees right now.
Oh yeah.
Because SoundCloud has kind of if you're not familiar with everything that went down, there was this entire journey with SoundCloud and their terms of service, including like, hey, we can just
train AI, right,
on your music and sell it to a third party.
Yeah.
And there was like a big discussion around this, and they were like, oh, that's not what we meant. That's not our intention. And then they didn't change the terms of services. So, I think a lot of people are having apprehension about, hey, where should I go that isn't putting, like we were saying, why would we go to Bandcamp over going to a DistroKid or over going to CD Baby or over going to any one of these other alternative platforms? It's because you can distribute directly to your fans, and you're not going to be like going through an intermediary. You're going to go right to them. If they want to buy your song, they want to buy your record, they want to buy your t-shirts, they want to buy your merch, they can get it right there all in one place.
Yeah, so I think that's probably another. So one of the things you can do that we do at the label is we take the email addresses we collect, we bring them into MailChimp.
Yes.
So that we can start to have a relationship with our audience.
Yes.
Which is something that you'll never get on Spotify.
No.
The best they're going to give you is a bunch of statistics, which are nice. And I think if you're at a big level, these statistics start to become useful. If you're like, whoa, I got 30,000 followers in Phoenix, that might be like, all right, I could probably target those people and get some people to go to a show. But if you're not at that level, if you're kind of an up and comer, that data, the volume that you're selling probably isn't that useful to you.
Yes.
And statistics are difficult. Statistics are a bit
well, and this takes
wonky.
Us kind of into the next part of the conversation, I think, which is like, if you're selling online, if you're primarily using TikTok or you're primarily using Instagram, which are great platforms, or you're using YouTube, your audience is going to be incredibly diversified.
Yeah.
Like your if you've grown up as an artist playing local shows, playing like in a bar, playing with your friends, your audience is going to be hyper localized, as everyone's going to be in one area. But if you had like a song do super well, like let's just say you had one song do really well, and this is the song that blew up, and I got 600,000 people to listen to my song, that's semi-viral. That's fire. Congratulations.
Hell yeah.
Now how do you reach all those people, and where the fuck are they? They're not here. So you got to go through all this retargeting work, and you're just not going to get like as cohesive of that data from someplace like Spotify as you would from your website. From if you get everyone to give you their email list, you got the direct contact. But I think
phone number for SMS campaigns.
Yes, but how are you going to get that from your Instagram followers?
You'll never get it from Instagram. You'll never get it from Spotify.
Spotify will give you some data under the Spotify for Artists. If you go to Spotify for Artists, you get some data.
I can't message you if you follow me. It tells you how many followers you have.
In a region. And you're not going to get, maybe you use that to like, to do some targeting on
that's
like
not
with
the same
meta ads, but like
this dude bought from me, so now we have a relationship.
We have a one-on-one relationship.
This goes back to, I think we can probably this is exactly exemplifies the point that I was making. That we have to understand the difference as creators between the social media economy, what I call the creator economy. I'm not the only person to call it that, and a real economy or a real fan base. And it is a sticky trap that is designed to intentionally put a wall up between you and your audience. And I think people feel good when they see a number creep up. They got 100,000 followers, but if you're really serious about like having a connection with those fans, you've got, these platforms are really designed at a certain level. Alienation is the name of the game for social media companies, because they want to sell you connection, right? So they're not interested in lowering the walls to give you one-on-one human connection. I'm getting a little existential, but I think it's important. They're not interested in that one-on-one connection that I think, and I know you think, is actually really vital for the human experience. Yeah,
I think it is. I think one-on-one connection is the thing that, like, if we're looking at this like as music executives, like, I want you to have a super fan. I want you to have the person who's going to tell 10 other people about you, and is going to buy your shirt, and is going to buy your CD. And even though they have your song on streaming, they're also going to go buy the vinyl.
Yeah, and they're going to show up when you're in your town.
That is not the person who's like, hey, I found you from this song and I watched once, and maybe I scrolled 2 other videos, but I don't know. You're not going to buy merch. You need to either work incredibly hard. You're going to put a lot more effort in the beginning to build those relationships, to turn them into, to convert someone from being like a meta Instagram lead to being a super fan is going to be a pipeline of other things. You're going to need to get them to come to your in-person event. You're going to need to get them to connect on your email list. But when you find them, when you reach that huge pool of people, that's not the deepest form of connection, and it just isn't going to convert in the way that it would if you're able to bring them further down into your funnel.
Versus like meeting somebody and being like, yo, I vibe with you. Like,
being like, hey, we actually get along.
So I think we can leave it there. I think that's like a really nice way to talk about it. I think I want to invite you, if you have some thoughts on this, if you feel some kind of way about what we're saying. I think there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with this. Send us your feelings.
Put them in the comments right down there. Write them there.
This is, I think, a really robust debate, and I think there's some people who are going to feel really differently than what you and I are saying. And I'm interested in having that conversation and hearing what you all think, and I think there's going to be some people who agree. So let us know what you think, and share with us your thoughts on how you leverage social media, what you think the strengths of social media are, the weaknesses, the blind spots, and maybe things that we just completely missed that you think are important.
And let us know what you want to hear us talk about next.
Yeah, because we're not going to do it.
Unless you do. Right now. Welcome back to the Wholesome Music Podcast.
So we just got done talking about social media, and I thought this would be a really cool transition when we talk about some of the news that's going out. There's an article on Pitchfork called "Into the Horrid Depths of Instagram Reels Music" by Kieran Press Reynolds. Ooh. So this is about the strange and bizarre world of music made specifically for Instagram Reels.
Okay.
I feel like everybody has seen one of these at some point, where the caption will be like, 42-year-old virgin
42-year-old virgin
42-year-old virgin cooked on this wrap, kills his grandma, and you're like, what? And you're like, you're so confused that you click it.
Yes.
This is this whole world of, they call it coworker music, because it's not like music you're meant to consume. It's like music that you're meant to just like have it's meant to make somebody money.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is, and to me, this goes back to the social media thing, which is why ultimately social media is a bit of a trap.
Yeah.
Because this is the logical extension of promoting specifically for social media.
Yeah.
Is to just do this, what we call slop now.
Yeah.
It makes
low
sense.
effort content.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not always low effort. Sometimes it's really high effort.
Yeah.
These people have to post every day. They have to come up with this stuff. They have to actually like embrace a lot of hate. They have to like take a lot of heat.
I think when we say when I say low effort, I think like low effort in concept development.
Yeah.
You know, like there's something between like creating something really quickly that's like, hey, we made this, it sounds good, it's got to go out.
Yeah.
Versus saying, hey, I like this, let's rework it a couple times, let's see why we wanted to make
this is why social media is like, creating specifically for social media is like a whole other universe, because that's not even like the nexus, the axis of your decision making. That's not even the decision making matrix, right?
No.
If you're making for social media, you're thinking, what can I do
thinking of volume
that will get a volume of engagement?
Yes.
This is something I've said before, I'll say again. Art is not content, content is not art.
Yeah.
And this to me really exemplifies it. And the thing is, sometimes I see these things and I have a good time because they're pretty well done. Like I can get the joke. Like,
yes.
I'm not like I don't think, I hope I don't sound like a stick in the mud. Like I like my memes like other people. But I think it's really easy to get bogged down in social media strategy.
Yes.
And forget that maybe you're an artist.
Yeah. You know, I think it's really easy for people to just like, you know, post as much as you possibly can. Like, hey, I need to, many of us grew up in a time when that was rewarding.
Yep.
And I feel like it is less rewarding now to just make as many, like one post a day and you'll do so well. No, you need to, you know, curate something that has some like something valuable. Honestly, like when we're talking about the creator economy and making content just to make content, I think one thing that we miss is like making content that actually serves people. So are people asking a question that you have expertise on that you can then, hey, I can share this out?
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can still make content at that huge volume, but using the skill sets that you have, or providing value to people who maybe need that information?
Or are people like you feeling seen because you're sharing some real piece of yourself?
Well, I actually had that today. You know, like I had a piece of content that I did actually not expect to be shared, and it was of me. Someone had captured me, and I was not feeling like polished. You know, we all have our internet face that we put on when we're ready, or our on-stage personalities. Like if you're an artist, you know how you want to present yourself.
Yeah.
And someone had captured me when I wasn't in that mode. I wasn't like presentable, at least to me.
Yeah.
And that content did so well.
Okay.
And I think maybe it's because people are relating to it. It isn't polished. It isn't overproduced. It's very much just organic.
Yeah.
But it was one of those moments when I'm like, oh my God, maybe I do need to just make more just content, because that's something that I relate to for other people, is seeing their content, even if it's a little bit unpolished.
Yeah.
Hey, this is just me in my day, versus, hey, we're going to create an entire concept and develop it out.
Maybe now that we've done a conversation about how much like we hate content, maybe we should do another conversation next time about maybe some of the things that we've identified that actually do work in the world of content.
Yes.
Because I think so. I'll again leave some comments, talk about maybe some things that have worked for you for the world of content, and then maybe we'll review some of those later.
And remind me the name of the article.
We'll put it in the description, right? Into the Horrid Depths of Instagram Reels Music by Kieran Press Reynolds. It's on Pitchfork.
That's wild.
Incredible. So let's move on. I wanted to talk about why some artists are rethinking touring. So this is from Chartmetric.com. An analysis of the top 1,000 artists from each career stage in 2022 to 2024, defining touring artists as those who performed at least 10 shows in 1 year's time, show a steep decline. Between these 2 years, the share of mid-level touring artists decreased from 19% to 12%. Among superstars, touring numbers went down at an even higher rate, from 44% to 36%. even these are just some snippets from the article, which we'll post. Even Coachella, which once regularly sold out within hours, took almost a month to sell out in 2024. And in 2025, more than half of the festival's GA attendees utilized payment plans to
buy now, pay later.
Their tickets. And then, so let's stop there. And then I've got one more piece. I think one take I have is that the economy's cooked.
Yeah. I mean, things are hard. Things are hard now. They were hard in 2008, and they feel even harder right now.
Yeah.
And maybe the last thing I want to spend my hard-earned America dollars on is going to see live music at an overpriced cost.
Yeah.
Especially through Live Nation and Ticketmaster.
Yep.
Like, I think people don't have a lot of money, and when they do, they want to spend it feeling the most connected they can, and maybe it's not at a festival show.
Yeah.
But if it is, maybe it's the aspirational show.
Maybe it's not at a festival show. Maybe it's at a local show with people from your community who will actually really benefit on an individual level from you being there.
Yes. You know, and that's the craziest thing is I feel like that's where I get the most joy and I get the most like connection is at like local shows, community shows.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, it's one of the first arena shows I ever saw was Miley Cyrus. And I saw her in Minnesota at the Excel Center, which if you've ever been to any arena, I was sitting way up at the top. And I didn't feel the connection. Still to this day love Miley Cyrus. Yeah. But
shout out Miley, friend of the pod. You can come by anytime.
Come by and sit at our table anytime. But I think, you know, if I could re-experience that again and be in a smaller venue, one of the best shows I've ever seen was at the Troubadour, which only seats 800 people at the maximum. So no matter where you are in that room, you're in the thick of it. Every seat, you're a part of the show.
So I think another piece of this, if you're an artist who's thinking about this, I think there's still room for you to create special experiences at a small level. And I'm not talking about technology, y'all, although that does
plays a factor.
But just we'll talk about some of this more, but like honing your skill and your craft as a performer.
You can put on a great show with like a SM58 and 2 monitors. You really can. Like,
and an outfit, if that.
Yes.
Or nude.
Or nude.
But the
even better show.
The thing I want to leave you with about this, my final take about this is that if you are a person who really wants to tour, like my touring days are maybe behind me. We'll see if I ever get to go out again. I love to get on the road and I love to play night after night after night. You're not going to tour by accident.
No.
Like almost anything in this economy, and I think almost anything that you're doing when you're trying to create a creative career, it's probably not going to open up for you by chance.
No, nothing in this industry will open up by chance.
Nothing. Every once in a while, like you'll get like a freak opportunity. Take it when they come, but for the most part,
by chance you got a free cappuccino.
But. So if you're really interested if touring is something you're really compelled to do, I don't think you should be discouraged from touring, but I do think that you need to just like really stay laser focused on that. And just keep that your goal and keep that in mind. And I also just don't forget at the mid-level, from my experience, a lot of touring artists are being bolstered by their day job. So just absolutely. Don't feel bad about that if that's where you're at.
If that's the reality, that's the reality. And I think, I mean, like just diving a little bit deeper into this, obviously touring is such a huge part of an artist's revenue, or historically has been.
It used to be.
It historically has been. And I think it still is. I still think it's an avenue, maybe not touring the way we used to tour, maybe not doing 50 cities in 2 weeks, but taking those opportunities that you can to play locally, like playing
regionally.
Playing locally, playing regionally, playing with other people. I think that's a way that you can still build those opportunities. Obviously, like when you're playing live, and maybe this is like me beating a dead horse here, but you can sell your merch. You know, you have all of these value adds that you can provide, and you can connect with your end listener right there.
A real connection.
Build an in-person connection with them. So, you know, I think it's a bummer. You know, it's really sad to see, genuinely, but I think I don't think it's indicative of people giving up on music. I don't think it's indicative of like, oh, it's AI. I just want to see the show live. In fact,
this goes to the next article I pulled up, which is from Billboard. I didn't get the byline. I'm sorry if you're the author of this article. Maybe you didn't list one. Americans are paying $300 plus or going into debt for concert tickets, studies show. Prices for concert tickets have risen by more than 32% over the past 5 years, with the average concert ticket costing $130.36 in 2024. So people are still paying for concerts.
Yes, they are.
A Bank of America, a Bank of America survey of 69 million consumer and small business customers in the U.S. found customers spend an average of $150 a month on entertainment. For live ticket events, people spend an average of $300 a month last year. Asked if they plan to attend more live events this year than last year, a third of people surveyed said yes.
Wow,
people are still coming out, and what's cool is like if you build like a little like a fan base, you can actually like generate. You can actually generate some revenue.
Yes,
without like having to go like do a deal with the devil with Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and
Eventbrite, baby.
Yeah, and have a meaningful fan base.
You know, there are all these resources for you to host your own events that are sponsored by you.
Yeah.
You don't have to have like a list of sponsors behind you to do it.
Yep.
You know, put yourself on Partyful, put yourself on Eventbrite.
Yep.
Plan something out and get some people to go with you.
Yeah. So I think we'll maybe talk more in depth about like what throwing DIY shows looks like at a time. If you have some questions about throwing DIY shows, if you want to talk about doing DIY shows, let us know in the comments. If you have some thoughts about how much you are going to spend last year or how much you're going to spend this year compared to last year on tickets, like what's your maximum ticket price, what you'll pay for a ticket, what's the most you'd pay for a ticket?
Oh man, I probably wouldn't pay more than $200 for a ticket unless it was someone I really, really needed to see.
Yeah.
You know, if it's let's say Kendrick is never performing again, I'll spend a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna. It could be the coolest show. But if tickets are $150 or $200, I'm just, I had someone invite me to Burning Man.
Oh,
and I would love to go to Burning Man, but not for $550.
Yeah, I can dance naked in the desert for way cheaper.
Yeah, and I would still love the experience, but I wouldn't spend that much for the experience.
Yeah. So I would say one final takeaway I have is that as artists, let's be aware that there are some market forces that are like against this right now. Young people will always spend outside of their means to go to shows. There's always a
Coachella.
Yeah,
there's always the Coachella.
There's always not even Coachella. There's always a cohort of people.
Well, from the article where it was it 60% of people who attended Coachella paid with buy now, pay later.
Yep.
There's always something like that.
Yep.
There's always the aspirational purchase that, you know what, I can't afford it, but we're gonna do it.
We're going to do it anyway.
We're gonna go anyway.
Because I'm 25 and life is short. And
yes.
Yeah. One final elephant in the room. I think when we talk about, I wish somebody could do this, is control for Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Because she skews all the statistics, because she has sold so much in the last few years. So I think if anybody out there is like a data wonk and wants to control for Taylor Swift and all these statistics, you can let us know.
And for Beyonce. Yeah, Taylor Swift and Beyonce really throw off the whole market.
Yeah.
They do. But it would be curious to see like what the average of ticket sales, maybe it's something we can do in the future, is look at like ticket sales of DIY artists. Like, how much is the average show? How much are you guys paying for a show? What do you feel like is fair?
Artists, how much are you charging?
We do $5.
Yep.
A lot. We do a lot of $5 shows.
Yep.
And
I do think that 10 is the floor. We do 5 because we have an open mic and we got it like that. But like, I think 10 is the floor. Yeah,
I think 10 is a great price. That 10 will get a lot of people through the door.
Yeah.
But I also would say, like, I've done shows that are $125. I've done shows that are $5. And I would say there's definitely something between like, okay, I'm committed to this because I spent a lot.
Yep.
Or like, I could come or I could not go. I spent $5. So finding the sweet spot that's like, okay, my fans paid enough so that they're actually going to show up. But also I didn't make it so expensive that they couldn't
show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take us.
Let's wrap on that. So I think we should call this the fucking Wholesome Music Podcast.
Do you like that?
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I do. It feels like us.
It feels like us.
Yeah.
So welcome back to the Wholesome Music Podcast.
Hell yeah. We just confirmed that name right now.
Right now.
On camera production meeting.
I think we talked about a lot of the things that I was interested in talking about in our previous conversation, but one of the things that's really kind of gotten me in the last couple days is like, just kind of this is kind of a more general topic, but I wanted to talk about artists and when they're ready to have a manager. When like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm I'm a new artist. I know you have a label, Augustus. I think I put out a song recently, and like it's gonna be famous.
Yep.
I'm gonna be famous with this song. It's gonna be so big. If you once you hear it, once I haven't put it out yet, but once you hear it, it's gonna be so big. People are gonna blow up. I'm next up. So like I need a manager.
Do you know what's funny is, so we do a weekly open mic.
Yes, we do, the Aux Court open mic.
And which if you're in LA, pull up every Thursday. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is we hear a lot of really cool songs.
We hear amazing songs.
And I can think of a couple of examples where, because I hear the same songs every week, where I'm like, the first time I'm like, that's a good song. Hell yeah. You know, that's nice. And then by the fourth or fifth time I've heard it, I'm like, this song could change the world. This song could blow up. What's the lesson here? People honestly, people have to have exposure to your stuff.
Yes.
So having a song, having great music is its own reward.
Yeah.
And you need infrastructure in order to turn a great song into a career-changing event.
Yes. Yeah. To really dive into that, maybe you have one great song. Yeah. Maybe you don't yet.
Yeah.
I think if you want someone to manage you, if you want someone to join your team and be a part of your crew, maybe they need to see that there's some social proof.
Yeah.
That's like ways that you can show social proof are income. That's one. It's not obnoxious and it's annoying and we all hate it.
But you're right.
If I'm gonna, manage you and take my time to work on your project and help it get further, I think the first thing I want to see is that you've already started doing it. I don't want you to come. Most managers, maybe I'm in the minority, but I think most managers would like to see that you're doing things.
Yeah.
That you are active in your own career. You're not just sitting here waiting oh, someone's gonna make my song and make it famous. No, you need to do the work.
Yeah.
And showing that you're doing that, whether it's playing shows, whether it's like creating with other creators, like getting in the booth with other people and recording with them, and then releasing it.
Having a strong social media strategy, even though we harp on it.
Yes. Having a strong strategy, and what does that look like if I'm a new artist, if I only have, I have 500 people following me. Okay, if you have 500 people following you, it means posting about your music. I don't want to look at your page and see you on your motorcycle. I don't want to go to your page that you told me to follow because you make music and see you with your cats. No, I don't want to do that. I want to see you making music. I want to see you showing that this is what you want to do.
Yeah. So I think what you're really getting at is, what incentive does somebody have to get on your business team?
Yeah.
One of the things that I think it's easy to forget is that everybody has a different entry point into the music industry.
Yes.
There are people out there who really would be thrilled to just manage some really talented artists.
Yeah.
They're out there. You can find them.
Yes.
What is their incentive? And so what is it about you, your music, your career that is going to entice them? This is something that I think a lot of musicians, really savvy musicians understand.
Yeah.
Is who is your audience?
Yeah. Who are you making this for?
Because sometimes your audience is is your fans. And sometimes you do things because you have an audience of 5 or 6 decision maker people that you need to see. You need to demonstrate that you've got what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So they'll come on. So understanding why you're doing certain projects. I say that with a caveat because I think it gets really, really easy as artists to get bogged down in you get your head twisted about all right, I'm trying to get a manager. I'm trying to get 1,000 likes. I'm trying to get on tour. I got this mailing list strategy. Just don't get ahead of your skis. Is that a thing that people say? That's a thing.
That's from Minnesota. I've heard that.
Of course you have.
Don't get ahead of your skis.
Don't get ahead of your skis. If you don't know what that means, don't at me. But know what it is that you have to offer. Know who you are as an artist. I think this conversation about what's the incentive. Well, I think one of the main things that we have to always understand is do you understand yourself?
Yeah.
Do you understand your career? Do you understand your career trajectory, the audience that you're trying to reach? At the label, we talk about this stuff too. It's do these people really understand what it is that they think they want to do?
I think that leads us like really, really well. It's like a perfect segue into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is how do you find your sound? We hear this all the time when you're starting off. Oh, you know, they're finding their sound. Oh, you're just finding your sound. You'll get there. You'll find your sound. What does that mean? What does that look like for an artist? How do you know if this is your sound? How do you identify that, especially as a young artist? Dang. And what are the steps to do that?
One thing this is a great question. One of the things I would say is like, fail.
Yes.
Fail over and over and over again. Fail in front of yourself, fail in front of your crew, fail in front of your family, fail in front of your collaborators, fail in front of your would-be fans, fail in front of
everyone.
Yeah, just keep on failing. If you don't really understand what your sound is, or like maybe you do and you're like, maybe I want to try some new stuff.
Yeah.
Fucking fail. Like, you ever watch skaters?
Yeah.
And like watch them fail on a trick
100,000 times. If you go to Venice Skate Park, you'll just sit there and you'll watch them.
Yeah.
And they'll be doing the same exact trick.
Yep.
And falling every time. So mad. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, get up, knock their head over. And then get up and do it again.
Yes. So I think there's something. I'll say this more than once. I know is like, musicians have a lot to learn from athletes.
Yes, we do. We do.
And one of them, I think, is just being willing to like put in the work and the physical work of just like getting in there and like doing something that kicks your own ass.
Yeah.
Until you learn how to stick the landing.
Exactly. It's your 10,000 hours, and in this industry, it's your 100,000 hours, because like, especially kind of tying this back, like whether you're looking for a manager, whether you're trying to work on your social media strategy, whatever you're trying to work on, if you're an independent artist, that's you. You are working on your skills. You probably don't have another person who's, I'm just going to hand this off to my social media manager. I'm just going to hand this off to my personal manager. You probably don't have those resources, at least not yet. And if you want to get them, you're going to have to learn how to cultivate them in yourself. That just means taking some ugly shots, putting out some events with ugly flyers, putting out some, some songs that maybe the chorus didn't come when it should have, but now I know next time it does.
Playing shows for the bartender and the sound person.
Yes. And sometimes in those experiences, you find something accidental that feels great. And I think when I'm thinking of finding your sound, when I think of like, how do you find your sound? How does an artist develop themselves? I think it's like you just said, it's trying a bunch of new things. And at some point in that journey, you'll find something that you're like, this feels authentic to me.
Yes.
This feels like it encapsulates me as a person. And it might take 5 years, might take 15 years.
Yeah.
But eventually, if you keep honing away, you keep, think of like a sculpture artist. You keep taking things away from this big block of wood, you're going to have a beautiful sculpture.
So I want
wooden sculpture.
Beautiful carving.
Beautiful carving. Yes.
So I think this is some advice that I heard, and I think it was not in the context of music, but I think it really works, is you can listen in your body for what works. There's like a thing that happens. If you're coming up with ideas every day, when you feel yourself get excited, like next time you get excited, maybe notice where it where it happens in your body, and then
build some awareness around,
and then
where
put some so that when you're on Splice, like searching for a snare sound, like
for 100 hours,
maybe when a sound get out of your head and into your body, and when a sound makes you kind of go, ooh. Commit to it and move on. If a word choice just goes, just straightens your back a little bit, like that's how you might know how you're finding your sound. And you can also look, and this is why it's also really important to do things like record your rehearsals. And show things to your friends and your collaborators in real life. So there's something really physical, the physical experience of me sitting in the room with you as you hear my song. Because there's just and there's something that happens, you just go, And look, there's also the fucking data side of it. If you want to be like a social media wonk, do it that way. Check your SoundCloud stats, fine. But there is something, if you really are the kind of person who's trying to find your sound for the first time, trust your body. Trust yourself. Trust the things that give you that physiological feedback. And I think,
you'll feel it. One of my favorite tests for a song to see, like, if it's a good song, it always sounds good at the end of the night. At the end of a long session, your song always sounds great.
Yep.
When you find out if the song is good is the next day when you play it for your first friend, and you're like, not how they respond, how you respond.
Yep.
When you're playing that song for the first time, if you're like, oh, you know what, actually, hold on, you press play, and then you start talking about, well, okay, you have to imagine this is here. Then maybe it's not there. Maybe you've got more work to do.
Yeah.
But I always think that first test of checking it with a friend or checking it.
And stepping away.
Yes.
I think this is something else we'll talk about too. Is like nothing beats perspective. Like there's this rush, I think, and this is the young whippersnappers, but like there's this rush to be like, I hit this song, like we did it in the stew today, I'm gonna drop it tonight. And like if that's your vibe, like I'm not, I like
miss me with that shit. Miss me with that shit.
There is say more.
So I have seen this so many times. I this is something I hate the most is when people come to me and they're like, oh bro, this is a banger, I'm about to put it out tonight, oh it's about to go viral, bro, oh you don't even know, it's gonna be on all the playlists, it's gonna be everywhere. It's not going to be on the playlist, it's not going to be everywhere because you didn't give it the chance. Like, imagine you are getting married to someone. Your song is the wedding. Your song is the wedding. You would not have a wedding tonight. There's some marriages that do happen in Vegas tonight. But for the most part, when you get married, think of your song, your release as the wedding. It's the day that all your friends are coming in to see you and your song. You've made some dinner for everybody. You've provided some meals. You've made this an experience. You're not just dropping it out. You let everybody know 6 months in advance, hey, it's gonna be June 2nd. Y'all better clear it. We're getting married June 2nd. You gotta book your flights. Come on out. It's happening then. You don't just, hey, by the way, tonight at 6 p.m. we're getting married. Can you?
We got married, everyone. Send us a gift.
No. You get way less gifts if you get married overnight. The lesson is plan it out. Like, just to give you some base logistics, if you're totally unfamiliar with this, you gotta be like 4 weeks out for Spotify playlisting. So if you want to get your songs to like on Spotify editorial lists, even a chance. Even you're not a guarantee. It's never a guarantee, but it's a guaranteed no if you release the same day and nobody has a chance to hear it. You can guarantee failure. You might not be able to guarantee success, but in this industry, you will guarantee failure of your song if you release it the same day. So that's my opinion. I know some people are going to look at that and just absolutely hate that, but
so producer, I think like maybe that's leave a comment about if you're the kind of person who likes to just finish a song and drop it. Talk to us about why that works for you. I actually would really be curious about like what it is what it is that works for you if you do that. And if you're the kind of person who likes to have a real long drawn out strategy, talk to us about that and let us know about that, because I think it would be fun to hear people's opinions on that. And
before we disapparate on this particular
Did you say disapparate?
No,
what?
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said before we disappear and reappear, apparently. No, but before we do, I do think there's value in releasing every day. Maybe not on Spotify, maybe not to DSPs, but I went through a period where I wrote every single week and every single day, and I think when you're in that time, just making something and finishing it, we're not saying don't finish things, finish it. But,
I'm actually saying finish things, but
finish things. Do finish things,
and it's because it's not finished. How could it be finished the first night you worked on it? Right? Nobody hits perfection like that.
No.
Things have to get mixed. And you do not. I'm sorry, but for the most part, you do not have proper perspective to mix your song the same night you wrote it and to master it the same night you wrote it. You don't.
I love you. You don't.
This is your mom and dad signing off.